Attention! This podcast contains content so dirty, even soap might blush. Listener discretion is advised. Your episode begins in 3, 2, 1. Ciao, miei troie oceani, benvenute al podcast della libreria Lusty. Mi chiamo Birdie.
Very nice.
What? She says very nice.
Fuck. Oh. All right. Birdie, so do me a favor. Can you translate that for anybody who doesn't speak Italian and for those people that do speak Italian that didn't understand a word of your botched up accent?
Oh, come on. She gets an A for effort.
I'm a quarter Italian, all right? I have the last name that shows it, but none of the skin tone.
You know, and the crazy part is you are obsessed.
I'm obsessed
with Italian culture.
I know.
You did a pretty okay job, but
Okay.
why don't you give our listeners a translation?
Okay, so it says, "Hi, my smut sluts, and welcome to the Lusty Library podcast. My name is Birdie."
Now being broadcast to you in really bad Italian.
Oh, how bad did I fuck it up?
No, it was actually pretty good.
Okay,
It
all
was
right,
pretty
all right.
good. The listeners are going to get to know a little bit more about me today.
Yeah.
I am first generation Italian American. My
Mhm.
parents were born in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I speak Neapolitan fluently, which is very different than speaking proper Italian. But you had mentioned the word slut, and slut in proper Italian is troia. Where my family is from, it's zoccola, which is a very different connotation.
I feel like that has more punch. Soccola.
So I think Neapolitan, because it is southern Italy, it is very such a bastardized slang of it. And in the many years that I had visited Italy when I was younger, and I would speak Neapolitan thinking it was right, proper Italian, people immediately knew where my family was from.
Oh, God,
Because
I
it's
love it.
super distinctive.
So cool. God, you're so cool, Joey. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm such a fangirl.
You're so adorable.
Well, everybody, in case you haven't figured it out, this is your Dirty Dame Birdie speaking, and I will be your sultry hostess for today. Alongside me, I've got our capo dei capi, Joey,
Buongiorno, miei amici.
and our consigliere, Lex.
I love that so much. That's
So,
brilliant.
As you might imagine, if you know anything about those words, we're talking about a mafia book today. And this book is hardcore mafia, much more than the previous mafia books we've gone into in the past. Last season, if you've been following along, we read J.T. Geisinger's Ruthless Creatures, which was an American-Russian mafia?
Bratva.
Bratva.
I also think that's like fantasy mafia.
Oh, but it was hot mafia.
I didn't say it wasn't, but
it was
like
good.
fantasy mafia.
Yes, it was fantasy mafia. So true. But now we're going into the heart of it all, straight to Italy itself, the home of the real, true mafia. Like, let's be real. So today we are talking about TL Swan's The Italian. No. And if you're new here, this is what we do on this podcast. We choose romance novels that none of us have read before. We drink cocktails that feel appropriate for the book. And then we enthusiastically and sometimes aggressively talk about it.
Aggressively?
Aggressively.
Not from my end of the room.
Oh, my. Never.
Clutch those pearls.
This is a huge book, literally and figuratively.
She's a thick one.
She's thick. It's 600 pages.
I was surprised that a non-romantasy was getting that kind of page count.
But, you know, it made me really excited because I was
Yeah.
like, yes, this is going to give me all my mafia story that I want.
So listeners, do not be turned off by that page count. It went fast. It went hard. It went fast again. So
Yeah.
go for it.
On Goodreads, it has 4.1 stars with 26,000 reviews. On Amazon, it has 4.5 stars, 20,000 reviews. Obviously, I chose this book because I love mafia stories and I love Italy and everything Italian, which is partly why I love Joey so much. Say something to me in Italian, Joey.
I perso la testa. Or as us Neapolitans like to say, te persi ciravella.
Oh.
Translation.
You have lost your mind.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it so much. Yes. Just yell at me. Great. I love it. All right. So we're going to get into it more later in our rating section before we close out, but I think I might have a differing opinion on this book compared to other people. Oh, guys, I'm dying to know what you thought about it. Okay, so let's get into it. First, I'm going to read you what it says on the back of the book. They say there are 3 things you should do at least once in your life. Dance like nobody's watching, travel the world, and fall hopelessly in love. I aimed to do all 3. I went to Italy to find myself, but he found me. It was like a storybook. Our eyes met across a crowded room. He asked me if I needed help reading the menu. We ate, we laughed, we danced, and I fell. Unfortunately, things didn't go to plan and we parted ways. 2 years later, our eyes met across a room again. Only this time, I was on a date with another man. He went crazy in a jealous fit. But the man I met then is different now. He's colder, harder, and officially one of the most powerful men in Italy. Dare I say it, even more enticing. But if you dance with the devil, you get burnt. And the fires in Italy are scalding hot. I actually think it's a pretty great synopsis. It gives you the tip of the iceberg of what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Full transparency, I did read 4 lines of this in advance of choosing the book.
Oh my God.
I know.
Who are you?
I know.
I'm shocked Armageddon didn't happen.
I know.
Are
We're
there pigs
all
flying?
still alive somehow. Hell hasn't frozen over. I don't know how.
Wait,
it
are you
didn't
sure?
happen.
Wow.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Listen, before we get into the story more, I need a fucking drink. Okay. So today we're drinking the drink I wish she was drinking the entire fucking time. We're drinking a Negroni. She spent the whole damn time drinking fucking margaritas.
She's from Australia. She likes what she likes.
Oh my God, you guys are fucking nuts. Both of you.
She actually only ordered a margarita twice. Enrico ordered her margaritas 2 other times in the book.
Because he observed that's what she likes.
Yes, but also he's like so demanding and he wants her to be all Italian, which we'll get into more later. I can't believe he's ordering her a margarita. Yeah. Like, what? But anyways, chin chin.
Centano.
Centano.
Oh, this is nice.
It's actually really good. I haven't had a Negroni in so long.
Yeah.
It's fucking
delicious.
delicious.
I'd love some bubbles in there. Like, I think bubbles would make it a nice, smooth summertime drink.
Yeah.
A little seltzer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over ice. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. For a second, I thought you said over rice, and I was like, over rice? Oh, who the fuck knows?
New trend.
New trend. All right. Now that we're liquored up, let me tell you about the story. There's going to be spoilers. We're not going to give away everything, but, fair warning, there's going to be some spoilers. So let me take another sip of this drink before I blast you with the story real fast. Hold on just a second. Hold on. All right, we're talking about almost 600 pages here, folks, so I'm going to move you through this fast. As mentioned on the back of the book, we start with Olivia Reynolds on a solo trip to Italy where she meets the most gorgeous man, Enrico Ferrara, who, by the way, I would cast as Michele Morrone. You know him, the Italian actor?
No.
Oh, don't worry. I've got photos of him right here pulled up for you.
Excellent.
Oh, my God. He's so hot.
What's his name again?
Michele Morrone.
Yes, please.
He is so hot. He has tattoos on his fingers. And I want to know where else he got tattoos.
Are you going to show me the picture?
Yeah, you got to look at me. Look.
Oh, Dio mio. Hello.
Fucking sex on a stick. Where
Yeah.
that man go?
It's not often the three of us agree, but
Yes.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ. I
Mhm.
mean, God, he's so hot. Okay. Whew. All right. So they meet. They get it on. They end up spending a weekend together. So after that weekend, Olivia's meeting her girlfriend in the Amalfi Coast.
I'm sorry. Did you just skip past the most romantic meeting ever?
I mean, they talk about it on the back of the book.
Yeah, but like lightning bolts.
Yeah,
they
it was
feel it.
pretty cute.
Yeah.
They don't even fuck the first night. It is just sweeping her off her feet, romantic. It's dinner, it's dancing, it's lights, it's everything romantically that's the dream.
Oh my God. It's so cute.
On the back of a motorbike, come on.
Yeah. It's very cute.
It would be the cutest montage in the movie.
It is a really nice opening, and it gives you a taste of the romance that you're in for. They're smitten kittens. It's very, very charming. So she and her girlfriend go to the Amalfi Coast, and then she's going to come back to Roma for 2 days before going home. She and Enrico have decided that they're going to meet up for the last 2 days in Roma again when she comes back, because clearly they've really hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
She goes on her ladies' trip, and then she calls him to check in to see, when are they going to meet up? How are they going to meet up? And just like, hey, because she's all buzzing with excitement. No answer. Again, no answer. Crickets, crickets, crickets. So she gets on the plane to Rome, and she lands in Rome and gets detained for drugs in her bag. Like, what? What? Listen, this opened up a whole new world of fears for me.
Right.
What the fuck? She gets detained for drugs.
Like 25 kilos of fucking cocaine.
So my immediate thought was, who the fuck has that much extra room in their bag?
Absolutely.
Not
That
this
was
girl.
literally my first thought. Like, what? She did not have that much extra room in her
They
bag.
probably took out her Louis Vuittons and her
Oh,
sandals,
True.
replaced with the brick of Coke. There goes her flat iron.
Right. I
Yeah.
hadn't really thought about it that hard. Yeah, you're right. They probably, like, what the fuck do they care? They threw out her fucking panties. Yeah,
Oh,
of course. Oh, my fucking God. But anyways, new fear unlocked. I never thought about that in my life.
Mhm.
She's obviously terrified.
The Popo comes and they bring her to the Clink Clink in Rome
Uh-huh.
and arrest her for drug trafficking, if I'm not
they
mistaken.
bring her into the police station, and who's standing behind the desk when they walk in? Enrico. He's a fucking police officer. God, can you imagine? Ugh. So, beautiful man standing behind the desk. He sees her, but he's all weird and cold and detached because he totally knows that she's been calling him and texting him and he hasn't answered. Ultimately, there's a lot that happens here. I'm going to move real fast, like we said. He arranges a lawyer for her anyhow, even though he's real cold and detached and she's like super hurt. She makes it back to Australia without much of a fuss, but she's super bummed that this guy that she met and she really fucking liked is apparently a jerk. And she never gets an explanation as to why he's a jerk.
Well, and there's a whole thing, too, when they were romancing that she said, like, I'm a good girl. I've had 2 lovers.
Mhm.
Right.
And it's kind of established that he's a player.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, do you think terrible things about me? Because
I've slept with.
Yeah, lots of women. And so she gets back to Australia and she's like, well, I guess he was a player. Fuck. Fell for that.
Right. But they even have this really sweet moment where he brings her to the Pantheon.
What the fuck?
I mean, so cool. And the guy opens the door like he knows Enrico, which is so cool.
At night and the moonlight's coming down through it. And
This is a special day
Yes.
that only happens once a year, where the moon exactly aligns with the rooftop in the Pantheon, sets a light in, and they say you can speak to the god. So he rearranged his year and swapped it with another family member so that he could take her there.
Yep.
You don't do that with just a fucking one-night stand.
And so
No.
they could speak their truths to each other.
And so they've determined that their story is not over. You guys, this is so fucking cute.
Yeah.
Like, talk about romance. This is the most romantic thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody did that for me, I'd fucking marry them like the next day. Like, holy shit.
You want me to go back to my home country? No need. I'll just
Right?
stay here.
No. Why? Who the fuck cares?
But that
Oh my
didn't
God.
happen. She did go back to her home country.
Yeah, because Enrico's apparently a jerk.
Mhm.
So, meanwhile, what's actually happened in Enrico's world while she was off gallivanting with her friend was that Enrico's father and grandfather were both killed in a, quote, car accident. And that means that he's now discovered for the first time that his family runs Italy's underworld and he's the main don of it all. Surprise! Surprise! Like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I immediately was like, okay, so his father and grandfather were killed basically like the day she left Rome to go to the Amalfi Coast.
Moments. He just left her at the gate for her to go, and he gets the phone call. You need to rush to the hospital.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, we understand where he's coming from. Like, I'd be a broken shell of a human too, but I probably would have sent her at least one text. Like, it's kind of shitty.
Well, he did say he needed to get himself together first before he responded to her.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't find out that the two of them were killed. He found out so much more that has been hid from him in his entire 30 years of life.
Think of it. You show up to the hospital. Your dad was DOA, and your grandfather is holding on by a thread. Your father's best friend just shows up, is there at the bedside.
Well, your father's best friend, who you recognize as a hitman.
That's true.
He recognized him as a bad dude in Italy because Enrico's a police officer. And then he goes into the hallway and he sees all these other bad dudes that he knows. And he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are these people bowing their heads and paying respect and kissing the hand of my grandfather?
World altering.
Yeah, he's got to be fucked up about it.
Like, I imagine the time passed so quickly that he didn't even realize how much time went by.
All right. Maybe I'm being too harsh.
Also, you're looking at it as a woman.
Yeah.
You would find the time to make sure your potential partner was informed.
So true.
Most single men who have not had a long-term partner in years don't have that mindset.
Okay. We jump ahead 2 years later. She's home living a boring life in Australia. He's basically the king of Italy. We find out that they're both sort of still pining for each other. He can't come without her. She's never slept with anyone since him. He gets this crazy idea from his brother that maybe he should use his connections in the fashion industry to get her a job in Italy. So he has the excuse to bump into her accidentally.
Because what's she currently doing?
She's a fashion designer.
For
Kmart. Love it. Love it.
Designs pajamas for Kmart. Well, suddenly she gets the idea she's going to change her life and she starts applying to different places, and she puts her application into the House of Valentino.
House of Valentino, which, by the way, did you know that the actual Valentino Clemente Ludovico Garavani is still alive and he's 92?
No, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
I know. I did a bunch of research on random things.
That accent was like on point.
Oh my God, I've improved in the last 10 minutes.
Yes, you have.
Great.
It's because you had the Negroni.
Oh my God, it's so true.
It loosened up the palate.
Oh my God. Oh. So she goes and she's like lofty applying to these jobs in New York. And she finds out finally she hasn't gotten the job. But guess what? There's this other position open that just happens to be in Milan. Would she be open to that one? They think she'd be such a good fit for the role. Surprise! Well, obviously she's no fool. And she's like, okay, fine. Milan's far enough from Rome. I'm not going to see the douchebag again. Fine. Fair enough. So she makes the jump. She goes to Milan. Brilliant. And that's the point in time where I'm like, oh, fucking hell. He can't just get on the phone and fucking talk to her like an adult.
This is that point in the podcast where I go, but then we wouldn't have a book.
Now, would we, Lex? Thank you. Yes.
I love how you just rolled your eyes and that good hand gesture.
Thank you.
Well, you do have to realize, okay, so why wouldn't he call her? It's been almost 2 years. He has his tail tucked between his legs, and he figures if they accidentally run into each other and that chemistry is still there, they can rekindle in that manner, and it's a lot easier landing than him having to be like, I'm so sorry, darling.
Oh, he has to, like,
Cara mia.
make himself vulnerable?
Yeah,
Oh.
not
Not gonna
happening. Not
Oh,
happening.
okay.
This is much easier.
All right. Yeah.
Pull every string you know with the
Mhm.
CEO of Valentino.
Right. I mean, it's an awesome job. She's super happy. She's working hard, busting her ass off. She's been there for a couple weeks, and then she's like, all right, listen, I gotta go meet some people. I gotta get out of my little shell. So she's like, I'm gonna go do what all the other people in the world are doing. And she gets on Tinder.
Mhm.
So,
Mistake one.
yeah. So while she's out on this date with this loser Franco, she looks across the room, and who is it, ladies? Sing it with me. Enrico. God, he's over there, and he sees her, and he fucking stomps across the room. Okay? This is, like, insane to me. He sees her, and he freaks the fuck out. He comes, like, stomp running across this restaurant.
Just getting the visual of him doing this.
I know, right? It's kind of insane. You think about it. You haven't seen this guy in 2 years, and he comes, like, angry running at you. And he's just like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck is this guy? And what the fuck? This guy has got the Italian rage so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. He makes this huge deal. He screams at her that she's nothing more than a Tinder whore, aka not the woman he thought she was. And it's just like this massive scene. He fucking like knocks the lights out of Franco.
Well, Franco's being a dick, too.
Franco's an
He's
idiot.
just like, she's my girlfriend. He was being super aggressive with Olivia.
Olivia.
Franco got everything he deserved.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the moment where Enrico walks away. Franco's friend's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know who the fuck that is? You're like instigating Enrico Ferrara. He's like the mafia boss of Italy. And fucking she hears him say that. Yeah. So
It's all there.
and sure, it could all be just like street talk, whatever. It doesn't mean it's true, but she doesn't even bat an eye at it.
Nope.
Okay, we're just going to leave that there. All right.
Yeah.
right.
It needs to stay right there for now.
At this point, they have a series of multiple accidental and semi-non-accidental encounters
Yes.
where they proceed to get in fights, make up and make amends, get in fights, make up, and then get angry at each other again for various things. Ultimately, obviously, because there are 600 pages in this book, they do get back together again.
Mm-hmm.
All this back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
They are ultimately starting to really get into something here. And he starts to realize that he's like kind of really into her.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, he has this realization that he can't be really into her. He can't marry her because she's not Italian.
Yeah.
This is like so hard for me because I get it. And part of me is like, gosh, it's so beautiful. This like whole bloodline thing. I always am really fascinated by that whole concept. And I think it's really cool to see like how those things happen. But oh my God, it's brutal.
I know, but it's a very traditional mindset for a family that has power. A family that has run the entire country of Italy for generations and generations.
And it's no different to me than people thinking about a monarchy and keeping that bloodline the way it is so that it's always easy to have who's going to inherit. It's how you consolidate power. So it's no different whether it's underground or out in the public view.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like the way he talks about it, it's so cultural for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
speaking the language,
Yeah.
the food, The religion.
That's what it is. I think a lot of it is religion, how they were raised, that they're going to raise their children in the same manner that they were raised in. So it's about that tradition. And when you have someone that is from the exact same culture as you, majority of the time, your views and beliefs are going to align.
Right. So then he does this thing. Enrico, why'd you do this? So he goes, all right, Olivia, we can't be together, really.
But I can't give you up.
But I selfishly love you so much. I want you to be my comadre, his mistress.
Yeah.
She'll have everything she's ever wanted. She won't want for anything. He'll be with her on the weekends, and it'll be really wonderful. And his heart is with her. And yeah, he's going to have to marry and have kids with some other woman, and it's fine because his heart is with her.
Yeah.
Olivia's like, are you fucking crazy?
Yeah.
Because she's a strong lady.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? Fuck you.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
So there are times I'm annoyed with Olivia, but good for her in that moment. Don't accept less than what you're worth.
Absolutely not.
You want somebody who's all in, you stand up for that.
Right. And I mean, God, it just destroys everything that
Mhm.
they've had going
Yeah.
for them this
Yeah.
whole time. It just ruins, it crumbles it all into a little heap. So they're broken up. They're both wallowing. Enrico's sad and mopey at his cousin's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And his mother's finally just like, hey, like, what's going on with you?
Mama's intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother Andrea has already told me kind of what's going on.
Right.
She was just waiting for Enrico to open his mouth to her.
Right. So she finally is just like, listen, you should marry whoever makes you happy. Don't go marrying somebody just because you think you have to. Like, you should be happy and you should marry whoever you love.
Your father would want that for you. You're
Right.
so much like him, but your father would want you to marry who you love.
Mm-hmm. We
Dun,
find
dun,
out,
dun.
right? Which we find out later is a loaded statement. So he's suddenly like, oh my God, I never thought in a million years I would hear those words coming out of my mother's mouth. And he feels like he's been given this permission now
Mm-hmm.
to go be with Olivia.
Mhm.
So he's absolutely elated. And he comes up with this plan. And I don't, at this point, know what's fucking worse. The comadre or the new plan. Because the fucking new plan is just as ridiculous and insulting, in my opinion.
No, see, I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so at all.
All right,
God.
so let's talk
Go ahead,
about
talk
the
about the
plan.
plan.
So he goes to Olivia and he finally, after sending her roses and all this stuff, they finally end up meeting up because she's just like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't want to ever talk to you again, but I'm fucking here now. What the fuck do you have to say? I need to hear more.
He sits down and has dinner with her and he says, there are some stipulations to the plan that I have. And he starts off with this laundry list of things Olivia needs to do without saying to her, it's for us to be together. A, you need to convert to Catholicism. B, you need to speak Italian fluently.
Yep.
You need to become an Italian citizen and we will never be living in Australia. If you do all these things, you and I can be together. So we started with the list of shit she needs to do.
Without saying why.
Or, I love you, I want to be with you, we can have a future together. No,
And she's like sitting at dinner going, where's this going?
fuck.
What? And then he kind of ends with, well, we can be together.
Ugh.
Remake yourself into my perfect bride.
Fucking ridiculous.
But think about this. They had a roadblock where they could never be together because she wasn't Italian. Now, here he's saying, if you love me and you really think this is going to go anywhere, these are the steps that you have to do, which with his culture, I think the disconnect of her not coming to the realization of how powerful of a man he was, she didn't understand why those stipulations were there. But if you know that he's the head of the mafioso and he's telling you these things, it makes sense.
It does make sense. And it's a choose your own adventure. You either
Yes.
turn the page and you choose all these things wholeheartedly and you know what you're in for and you are going to be the wife of the head of an organization. and you are going to expect a certain lifestyle. Or you turn to page 28 and you choose to not do that and go find love somewhere else.
Right. This is the crux of the whole thing.
Right.
At this point, when this agenda was brought to her, she didn't realize who Enrico was, even though she's already Google searched.
Now, this is just naivety to me.
Yeah.
It's 100% still in that, like, oh, yeah, he's a big bad man, but he's not that bad, and it won't be that bad, and we can change that. You dumb.
But it's like diving head first into a pool without knowing how deep it is.
But you still know it's deep. You still know you can't touch the bottom.
She knows how fucking deep it is. She's just in denial about it.
Yes. Birdie, I'm firmly in your camp on this.
Oh, my God.
Listen, I get the infatuation. I get being dick drunk. Okay?
Right.
And having a blind eye to it. But this proceeded through all 600 pages of the book, man.
I know.
She never let
How
up
many
on
times
that.
do you have to Google, what is a mafiosi?
Oh, my God. That almost killed me dead. I know. All right, listen, we're going to let it rest for a minute.
We're going to pause on our feelings on this.
We're getting real heated in here. I'm fucking sweating right now. Oh, my God. All right. Oh, I sound like I have an accent or something. Oh, my God. At this point, this covenant that he's come up with is like tantamount to marriage. They haven't essentially said, yes, we're going to marry each other, but she's committed to being Catholic.
But I think that's the understanding of these are the steps so that we can permanently be together and get married.
Yeah.
This wasn't just to be dating.
No.
This was ultimately to move towards being married.
But do you think she understood it as that?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
I do.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild.
I do. I think she turned to that page and went, yep, this is the adventure I'm choosing.
Wild. I mean, okay, so she's 29. I mean, she's not 23.
Correct.
29 is a mature enough age, I think, that this proposal isn't that wild.
Right.
Ultimately, it was outlined in the book a couple of times that they were just magnets to each other.
Yeah.
I think the love was definitely building at that point. And she was pretty much going to do whatever to be with him because she thought he was the one.
Oh, they just were obsessed with each other.
Yeah.
Like, I would even say, like, addicted to each other.
Yeah.
Especially for him, where he was a playboy. He hadn't had a steady relationship in years.
Mm-hmm.
And he was falling fast for this woman.
And I did love that we find out while she's back in Australia that he's fucking another lady and he's just like, yeah, we've been at it for an hour now. And I'm just like, yep, going through the motions. It's not happening. And then I just have to imagine Olivia. And I'm like,
Yeah. It's the only way he could come.
Yeah, that was great. And it really just showed you the extent that he's just like fully committed to her. Like he's obsessed with her body and soul, like head to toe. Fast forward a bunch. They're basically living together. They're super happy. They're super in love.
Fast forward a bunch of the story, but it equals a week.
I know, right? They moved so fast. They're living together in the mansion in Lake Como. Oh, so hard for her. Oh, must be so hard.
Oh, but she hates that house.
Oh, she hates it.
Because
I'll
it's got
take
like
it.
83 bedrooms and 17 bathrooms.
Oh my God, I'm so sad for her.
Yeah. But what's happening in the rest of Enrico's world?
Right.
The family has gotten out of the drug trade.
Yep.
Enrico's mission is to clean up what the family's doing and make everything legit. But they do have legalized brothels. And there's a kingpin who's down in Sicily who's taken over the cocaine drug trade down there, but now is going after the Ferrara brothels. And he's really trying to push. And Enrico's got some of his men in his back pocket saying, no, we can't let this guy push into our territory here in Sicily. We need to get back into drugs so that we are more powerful and we get him out. And Enrico's like, fuck no.
No
We are
drugs.
legitimizing his business.
Love that. That made me love Enrico so much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. But to be fair, I'm also just like, I don't really know how you're going to keep all the power down there if you don't have the drugs.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's a book. So he's down in Sicily. He's meeting with all these people. He's going to try and win back the region. And he's meeting with his manager of the brothels down there, who is the woman that he's been kind of sleeping with this whole time.
Before Olivia came back into his life.
Right. Ugh, terrible idea, sleeping with your manager.
Yeah.
So anyways, he's been sleeping with her, and she's like, listen, I know that you're with this Olivia lady, but come on. And he's like, no, this is it. We're done because I have Olivia. And Ferrara's married for life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, she gives him a bit of news, huh?
Yeah, she sure does. Yeah. So she says, well, that's ridiculous because your father's comadre was like living the life up in Lake Como. Like, what are you talking about?
For 20-something years.
Why do you think you spent all your weekends in Lake Como when your mother stayed in Rome?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, poor guy. So his little baby child heart is just absolutely smashed to smithereens.
Yeah. And I think the worst part of that whole turning point is everybody knew but him.
All of the siblings didn't know.
Right.
Yeah. But his mother knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's what killed him.
Yep.
Because he started to feel bad for his mother.
Yep.
So he got real angry.
I can't blame him. The poor fucking guy has gotten it really dished out to him in the last couple of months.
Because his whole life, he's lived under a rock. He knew nothing. He had this one view of what his family was like, and they were completely opposite.
He thought it was families marry for life. He became a policeman.
At his father's urging,
It's true.
which we come to find out, his father wanted him to have a leg up, so when he ran Ferrara, he knew how the police worked.
And also probably set up some ins within the police force.
Totally. So he's pissed drunk and he comes home. And this is actually, I think, one of my favorite scenes in the whole book. And he's like, Olivia. And she's like almost kind of afraid of him. Like, he's a big fucking guy.
Well, his men bring him back because he's that drunk. They've been taking care of him.
Yeah. And they're all like, Olivia, go to bed. We got him. Like, he's an angry drunk.
Violent drunk, which is a very different thing than angry drunk.
Right.
So I think the guys putting him in that light scares her a little bit.
A little bit. But not enough.
No.
Because she has this moment where all of a sudden she becomes this strong, Italian-esque, passionate woman.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, I can handle him. You all get out of my house right now. He would never hurt me.
Near her, he's putting his head on her shoulder.
Right.
He's being very lovey with her.
And
he's not pissed at her.
So much to the extent that with 20 of his men right there, he goes, Olivia, I love you.
Yeah.
And then he goes, all of you can get the hell out of my house. You're a bunch of liars. This woman is the only person that hasn't lied to me, whatever. But he says that he loves her.
Yeah.
In front of all these people.
Since they have been together, he doesn't hold her hand in front of his men or in public.
Right?
He doesn't show any affection. He doesn't show who his weakness is to them. But in this drunk moment, walls are down.
All down.
L word flying out of his mouth.
Yep. I loved it. I love this scene. And she was so strong for him. She knew what he needed. And she was like, no, get out of my house right now. And I loved Lorenzo, the right-hand man. He goes, you heard the lady. Get out.
Yep.
Loved that.
Yeah.
So they all leave and they're left there together. And it's a pivotal turning point. Later that night, he wakes up out of his drunken stupor, which I'm like, God, is that even possible? But he does it.
Yeah.
He wakes up. She's having a cup of tea, trying to chill the fuck out and go to bed. And he comes in and he's like, what the fuck are you doing here? You need to get out. Why are you here? And she's like, I'm here for you. Like, what's wrong? And he's like, you shouldn't be with me. I'm no good. You don't know me. And she's like, I know you. You're good. And this was actually kind of creepy. And the way that the narrator did it, it kind of like, whew, gave me the chills.
My name is Enrico Giuliano Ferrara. He pauses and licks his lips. The head of the Ferrara underworld. His eyes are dark. I run all crime in Italy. He holds his finger up. The Dawn. He sneers as he staggers to his side. And the son of a fucking liar.
Yes.
His heart is bleeding.
It's really intense.
Indicator number 73 in the book to
Yes.
Olivia, who Enrico actually is.
Mhm.
Let's just sweep it under the rug and avoid it.
Drink. So it's just fucking ridiculous. It's really creepy. He clearly hates himself
Yeah.
because of this. I feel really bad for the guy. Like,
So the next morning, he wakes up not remembering what happened.
right.
And Olivia's like, okay, we need to talk. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry you came back drunk. She goes, no, you told me everything last night.
Yeah.
And he's like, she's leaving me. She's going to go.
Right.
Now that
Yep.
she knows everything, she's going to get out of there. But she doesn't, does she?
No.
Mm-mm.
She
She's
says
there.
she's in for it.
And he's like, I'm going to die. The clock is ticking. Don't you understand? Like, I have this limited time left. And she says, then we'll go down together. Indicator number 756,000 that she does understand what she's getting herself into. And all of a sudden we find out she's willing to die for him.
See, okay, this is the point in the book where I thought it was going to flip and she was going to become this badass
Yes.
right-hand person to the head of the mafia. Like, it was going to all click and that she was going to become this badass.
It's a Romeo and Juliet style, like, love obsession. I'm willing to die for you. This
Mhm.
whole thing.
But womp, womp, womp.
Then she backpedals and just becomes the whiny, like, you don't have to do it this way. When she finds out that the other guy is going in on their territory and was now going after the brothels after taking over the drug trade, she's like, well, just give him the brothels.
He's like,
What don't you understand? Where do you think the money comes from and the power comes from to protect you?
It's not even about the money for him. When that comes up, I loved that his response
yes.
was actually, no, we can't give them the brothels because those women will be in danger.
he'll give them drugs. He'll beat
Right.
them. They
Yep.
won't be taken care of.
And nobody touches a Ferrara girl.
Exactly. And some of the girls are beaten up. One of them's eventually killed and he loses his shit. So he takes care of his people.
Right.
He sees them as an extension of the family.
Right.
But you don't have that kind of power unless you have all the pieces.
But I think that's what the hottest thing about the book was for me is that seemed like a pivotal point, those scenes that happen at the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just, no. She just didn't get it.
And she kept saying, like, I wish we had a normal life. I wish you were just a policeman. I wish you were just a pizza delivery guy.
But he's fucking not. So, like, just step up, Buttercup. Like,
Yeah.
this is the reality that you brought yourself into. So fucking own it or get out.
Yes.
Like, he can't un-Ferrara himself.
No.
Enrico did to her what his father did to him. Tried to shelter him, not say anything about what was going on. Instead of being like, this woman is going to be my wife. She needs to have an understanding. They would fight. And then he would explain to her and then she would understand and cool down about the particular situation.
There were so many times when she was like, just tell me what's happening, Enrico. And he's like, it's too much for you.
Because he wanted to protect her. I get that.
Ah.
But he was doing a disservice, and that is why she never understood. But why wasn't she smart enough
I know.
to take all the pieces of the puzzle and start to put them together?
It would have been so cool if she ended up being this, like, actual mafia mastermind.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Because we clearly know behind every good man is a stronger woman.
Thank you.
Right? That person who is your person that you bounce every situation off of, and they come from a different perspective that makes you stronger, right?
Yes.
Every man in power has that woman who has a set of steel balls.
I can think of just one man that doesn't, but that's a whole other podcast.
I wanted Mama Ferrer and Nona to like be like, okay, you're coming into the family. Here is
Yes.
your boot camp
Yes.
for how to be the woman in this family.
Yes, absolutely. Like,
Here is your SOP on how to
Yes.
become a mob wife.
And it's not just fucking cooking and learning the language and having the babies. It's all the other pieces.
Right. Like political dynamics and all
Yep.
this stuff.
See, but the thing is, I don't think Bianca, Enrico's mother, was in that life.
No.
These men kept their women at arm's length and just had them protected in their glass houses.
I mean, you're right. We're hypothesizing about a book that doesn't exist
Yeah,
at
that's
this
true.
point.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know, Joey,
Mhm.
you listened to the audiobook. Lex, did you listen to the audiobook?
I started reading, and then I was worried that I wasn't going to finish in time for us having our get together. So I listened to some of the audiobook,
Okay.
and I couldn't stand it, and I needed to go back to reading it on my Kindle, because you know how I feel about like if the voice acting isn't there for me.
Uh-huh.
So I had to stop, because if I heard Olivia one more time, I was like, fuck, I can't do this.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
can't. So yeah, I went back to reading, and I can read faster than I can listen.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Joey, how about you?
I will say the male voice narrator did an okay job, but you could clearly tell he was not fluent in Italian.
Right.
And I think it lost kind of its zing for that.
how about you, Bird?
Oh, it drove me absolutely insane. But so regardless, I did listen to the whole book. It drove me a little bit crazy, but eventually I just was able to like dial it back in my
Mhm.
head and move on. But I did love a lot of the moments that were in Italian. I loved just, you got to really like bring me in.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite things about Enrico is that at one point they're fucking and he's like talking dirty to her in
Uh-huh.
Italian.
Yeah.
And she's like, speak English, I can't understand you. And he's like, you're going to have to learn fucking fast because I only fucking
Fucking
Italian.
Yeah.
And I
That's
was like,
great.
yes,
That was
yes,
great.
that was so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Birdie, do you want to have our sexy stud read something?
I mean, I sure do. I sure do. Let's have our sexy stud read us some smutty stuff.
He bends and pulls my G-string to the side. I smile into the mattress, and I feel his breath on my cheeks. He blesses me with a tender kiss. His tongue reaches out and brushes over my back entrance. I flinch. What the fuck? I try to move, but he holds me in place and licks me again. My eyes close, and I moan against the mattress. Oh my fucking God. Ricky, I whisper. He breathes into me as his large hand holds me in place. I want all of you. I can see his cock between my legs. It's dripping and rock hard. He licks me again, and I can feel his whiskers on my behind. He begins to really eat me, and all I can do is screw up the blankets beneath me. Holy fucking God. What the hell is going on here? He slowly slides my panties down my legs and takes them off. My heart is racing so fast. What the hell is he going to do to me? He spreads my legs wider, his tongue really tempting me, and then he slides his thumb deep into my ass at the same time he puts his thick cock in my sex. My eyes roll back in my head, and I cry out, in pleasure, in pain, in total fucking ecstasy. My knees buckle, and he slaps me hard with his free hand. Stay up, he barks. His cock slowly slides out, and my mouth falls open. He slides it back in time with his thumb. He gets harder and faster with both cock and thumb. Then he takes his thumb out and slowly eases himself into its place, deep, where no man has gone before. Acclaiming. My eyes roll back in my head to the sound of his hiss. I can't talk. I can't hear. I can only feel him. Enrico Ferrara, the god, my god.
That was, woo!
Steam-tastic.
That's a lot of coordination. He gets points for that.
He does. He does.
I do have to make a very valid point right now.
Okay.
Just like when I drink, I am what is considered a happy reader. I don't nitpick a lot of things. If you give me a great storyline, I'm happy, right?
That is so fucking good.
It's very true, though. There's not much that gets under my skin. I will tell you,
Oh.
this man is not a Ricky.
No.
This
No.
man is an Enrico, a 100%.
Yes.
Even in my notes,
No.
my 26 pages of notes for this fucking book,
Yep.
I addressed him as Enrico.
Me too. Every fucking
every
time.
single time. Now, Rico, I could do with okay,
Yeah.
you know?
Not Ricky.
Not Ricky.
Not
I
Ricky.
just couldn't get on board with that. For me to be like, oh, no, that's not working.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at Joey having opinions on names.
That
Oh my
deserves
God.
a sip.
Have I rubbed off on you so much? Oh, I'm so proud. God, I wish I could just really pull up that clip where you go, who the fuck cares what their names? Ha ha ha.
But it wasn't the Enrico. It was the nickname
Yes.
given to him.
I don't care. Same.
You're going to correlate the shit out of it.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
going to never let you live that out.
No,
I
Oh,
guess
that's
not.
excellent.
Forever and ever.
Yeah. I'll
Excellent.
make sure this doesn't make it into the final edit. Of the episode.
Wait, we vote 2 vetoes.
But did you like Enrico?
I did. I really, really did, except for the fact that he did exactly what his dad did.
Yeah.
I think
That was a low moment.
after he was hurt so bad about his dad lying to him, and then he did the same thing to Olivia, I think he can still give a level of protection with letting her know some of the components going on without divulging everything that's happening.
There's a little phrase that exists in the world.
What's
Knowledge is power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if he had just let her know
Mhm.
what was happening, I think that it is actually such a disservice to her that he never told her that she was actually the subject of a potential hit.
Yeah.
That was-
Yes.
Absolutely insane that he never told her, the reason I'm so crazy about keeping you safe right now is because so-and-so wants to kill you because you're connected to me. So all those times I never kissed you in public, this is why.
Yeah, that should have been explained from
Like day
day
one.
one.
And
Come
he
on.
did hint to her that if they wanted to hurt me, they would go after you. But
Right.
that was it. End of statement, end of fact. But in Olivia's eyes, he just came off as a fucking domineering prick. Very controlling when all he was doing was keeping her safe. If he explained to her why.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately she liked that domineering.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she wouldn't have put up with the shit.
Yeah.
Lux, what did you think about Enrico?
You can see me taking the deep breath.
Yes. Like your eyes are pinging back and forth, like you're trying to get your thoughts.
So I think he's excellent for the story. I enjoyed reading him. I enjoyed reading him and Olivia together. Did I get frustrated with them? Yeah, but in the way that like I would get frustrated watching soap operas or Game of Thrones or anything like that. It works for the story. There's always like what I like in a book and what I like in real life. What I like
Sure.
in a book, I loved Enrico in the book.
Okay.
It made the story interesting. If he showed up on my doorstep, he would have been cut loose so fast.
Yeah.
I don't care how big his dick is. There's more dick out there.
Well, no, you don't cut him loose that fast. You just get a good use out of him and then send him on his way. Birdie, is Enrico your jam? Because we know you love Italians. I know you love the culture.
I'm really conflicted about Enrico because we never really get to see him at work in this book. Like, really. So part of what makes me all hot and bothered for mafia guys in fictional situations, because this is fiction,
Yes.
I want extreme power. I want the guy that's knocking out somebody's front tooth so that when he walks around, he knows that everybody else can see that he was made to be a person of shame. Enrico doesn't do that. He's so nice.
I don't think he's nice. I think he has overarching power that puts fear into everyone where he doesn't need to do it with his actions.
He gets somebody else to do that.
Absolutely. And that's
Yeah.
how he has his power. Where previous book that we read, the person was asserting their power in a different manner.
They moved up the chain.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also just like, I don't know, Enrico, we never got to see that moment of like pure, raw power anger. We just saw rage.
Assumed control.
Right.
Because of the position.
I
that he had.
needed to see it. I needed to intimately see a moment of raw power to feel like really on board and like I'm totally going to abandon all of my good ideas in life for him.
Did you need to see it as like physical violence, or could you see it as like he came up with the master plan and then he sent his lieutenants out and took care
like
of it?
the first 3 minutes of The Godfather, the guy comes in and he's asking for a favor and he says, well, I'm going to do this for you. And because, whatever, I'm going to make him an offer they can't refuse. Power. You can tell the guy is groveling in front of him. From the first 2 minutes, you're like, oh my God, the power this man has. I never got that from Enrico. And that's what gives me the like, wah for mafia shit.
In the book, she makes that joke too, where Enrico says to Olivia, like, this isn't The Godfather.
Right.
Which also made me chuckle because there were so many pieces of this that I actually thought were very Godfather-like. Just parallels of not exactly the same, but like Enrico went off to be a policeman and not be involved in the family business. And Michael Corleone, like the difference being he knew about the family business and chose not to be in it and went off and became a war hero and came back and had the waspy girlfriend.
Right.
Difference there was Kay knew about the family, but Michael said, oh, I'm not going to be involved in it, and then got involved in it, as opposed to this where Olivia didn't know about it, learned about it later. But still, like, there are all these little parallels. It made me chuckle when the author is basically saying, it's not The Godfather, but it's a little bit The Godfather.
Oh, is it that time?
Is it that time?
Oh.
It's that time.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. It's time for Audition with the Dames, folks. Step right up, Joey.
So we saw in this book Olivia obsessed and dick drunk with Enrico. Even though she had heard little inklings about what he did from other people, from Google telling her exactly who he was. You're single. You're out there and you're dating and you meet someone that you have this fucking amazing chemistry with. You're magnets to each other. But they are so hush-hush about what they do, or they only tell you little components of it and you really don't know, and you hear these little rumblings that, they're either in the FBI or they're undercover or whatever. Do you proceed in the relationship without knowing what they do for a living?
Lex coming in with the qualifiers.
Like, you went so close to the microphone, like you were going to blurt and then stopped to think about what your answer was going to be.
Yeah, it's a hard no. I couldn't do it. So much of like what my relationships are is just sharing about like what we do. Think about it this way. How much time, even with just a regular job, how much of your life is that? It's 8 hours a day. That's a whole piece of that person's life that you are missing and makes them a big component of who they are. So that's a whole piece of them you will be missing. And like, I could probably do it for a little while, but it would eat away at me. And just knowing that about myself, like, nah, couldn't do it. So I won't be dating anybody from the FBI. If, I'm brought into the mafia, I got to be a part of it. I got to know all the strategizing anyway, because I'm going to have an opinion about it.
Of
no matter
course.
what.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be full transparency or not at all.
My grandmother died 20 years ago, and to this day, I will always regret never pushing harder to find out what she did at the FBI. She went to her fucking grave and never told anybody what she did at the FBI.
That's crazy.
And it bothers me to the core of my being, not knowing. So, with that fact in the back of my head, I'm going to go ahead and say it would be really difficult for me. I mean, if I knew that they were an agent for the FBI, there would be so many qualifying questions. If I just knew that little bit, I would be like, well, are you in danger? Do you go undercover? Do you work with drugs? Do you have a gun? Where's the gun? Are there going to be people showing up on my doorstep? I would have a million questions.
Yep.
Like, are we going to end up in witness protection at some point, moving to another fucking country?
Giving up your life, your
I
family.
need to know.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'd have so many questions.
I think I'm aligning with you, Birdie. I would poke and prod. Like, what can you tell me?
Right.
In the mafia situation, I would want to know it all.
Right.
Like, don't tell me the inner workings of the organization. I don't need to know that. But I do need to know exactly what is happening to you, what is a cause and effect for me. If it was someone who was in the FBI, just validate you work in the FBI. Are you in danger? Am I in danger? If you can't be open with me and tell me, you can't tell me. But if you're being ambiguous about it, I can't. That doesn't give me peace of mind or trust in you. That if I can't trust you with this, how am I going to trust anything else you ever say to me?
I know. And it's also just like, okay, so you get home at 5 every day. One day you come home at 7. What were you doing?
Yeah.
Why? I want to know.
And that's the thing. A happy relationship is built on trust, that you're not looking where that person is on location shared 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And if you don't build that trust with each other, you're doubting everything all the time.
But here's the thing. It's not that I wouldn't have trust with the person. It's more just I have this like irritating need to know, which it actually drives my husband crazy. He goes into the kitchen, he gets something to eat, he comes back and I can't see what's on his plate. Honey, what are you eating? What do you have on your plate? He'll just go, wouldn't you like to know?
Oh my God.
He won't fucking tell me.
You would open Pandora's box.
Yeah.
So would I. So.
It's just, I don't know. Like, I would totally open Pandora's box.
Yeah, because you need to know what's in
I
there.
have to know. Why is that? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't just sit back and shut up and look pretty. I absolutely cannot. Yeah.
I can't either. I've been a type A my entire
Yeah.
life.
Well, not only that, and Birdie, you brought this up, that like for those two specific things you said, like FBI or mafia, when you get in a relationship with that person, you literally are taking on the risks that they have.
Right.
Whether you're involved or not, whether they tell you a single thing ever or not, you are still put in the line of fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's a thing of like, okay, be upfront right away. Like, no, I'm not signing up for that life. Don't waste their time either.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. So let's rate this book. Let's get into some hardcore numbers here.
Oh.
So on my list, it's in order the way I write it. All right, Lex? So
You're never going to let that one go.
No. In the order on my list, let's talk about the smut. You can choose 1 to 5 raindrops. How wet did it make you, ladies? All right, Lex, go first.
Sex operator voice.
I know. You love it.
Alrighty, for the smut, I give it a 3.5.
Okay.
There is a lot of smut in here. And also, I feel like the smut repeats a little bit. So there isn't maybe as much diversity as I usually like. I like it to change up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like a 4 or more. I mean, folks, if you want the smut, it is there.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of it there.
There's a lot.
So if you like that particular kind of smut, it's there for you.
Yeah.
But I needed a little more change of position. So.
Sure. Absolutely. Joey?
Lex, I agree with everything you said. A lot of schmut in here. If you're looking for a schmutty book with a good storyline, this is it for you. It just didn't change up a lot. And sometimes I felt like maybe there was a little too much schmut. Like sometimes schmut was being thrown in for the sake of throwing in schmut.
Yeah.
I'm going with a 3.
Oh.
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay.
The book had quality smut. Was it blow my socks off while I was reading it smut? No. Was it I needed to go change my pajamas smut? No. But it was good smut. 3.
I am also landing at a 3. Yeah. It was good quantity.
Yes.
I liked that we got into it at 7%
Yes.
into the book. We're going right in for it. It definitely was steamy throughout. We're there for their honeymoon phase, folks. So, we're really getting it a lot. But yeah, for me, I tend to lean a little bit more on the adventurous side of things personally. And this didn't take the adventure quite as far for me as I personally like. But I can see why a lot of people really liked this book because the smut is there. It is well written and it's steam-tastic. Enrico's hot as fuck.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
So let's go to the story. You can choose 1 to 5 storybooks. Joey, why don't you go first on this one?
I'm giving this a 4. I thought the premise of the book was real strong. Did it move very quickly? Yes, it did. Did I like the bad guy's name of Lucky Lombardi? Abso-fucking-lutely. I like how it paced. It was almost like a mystery was in there, like a suspense novel. I really liked how that main overarching plot played. And I think TL threw the romance in there really well. So this got a strong 4 out of me for a story.
All righty. Coming on over to you, Lex.
Okay, so I thought it was a really solid story. Very entertaining. When I'd put it down, I wanted to know where it was going and wanted to get back to it. So that's always a good thing. I wanted a little more intrigue. I guess I wanted more of the inner mafia workings. But I'm also reading a romance, so that wasn't the focus. So I'm giving it a 3. Nice, solid 3. Very entertaining. I just wanted more the inner workings of the mafia. And I felt like it wrapped up really quickly. And I don't want to give away the big surprise at the end, but it kind of felt like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing. Like, whoop, okay, everything's all fixed.
Right.
And I was like, you're already 600 pages in. I would give you another 50 just to get
Why are we
that
ending
fleshed
so
out.
many books with this statement?
I don't know.
Like, I
Yeah.
would have given you another 25 or 50 pages to just really pull me in through an ending instead of wrapping it up like that.
I also think it was an opportunity for you to dive into book 2
Of course.
to see how it continued. You could have read book 2 as a standalone and still gotten all the information, but the story did continue to progress through book 2. So I felt like reading both gave me a full picture, and I have probably a bunch of answers to your questions.
Probably.
So my algorithm recently has been giving me lots of videos that start with, we listen and we don't judge.
Okay.
Okay. And I listen and I don't judge. I'm giving the story 2.5.
Oh.
Okay.
It really bugged me. I was so pumped to be handed a 600-page mafia novel. I thought, here's my fucking moment. I'm going to get all the kinky mafia shit I ever wanted. Hell yeah. I can't wait to read about all the action and all the intrigue and all the mystery and all the power dynamics. Can't wait. I got absolutely none of that. And so many things were just dead-ended for me. It's not to say that I hated the book, but I just wanted so much more out of it.
Right.
It drove me fucking crazy. I mean, yes, did I understand that I was getting myself into a romance novel? And when we describe the plotline of this book, it is a romance plot. It is not a mafia plot.
She decided to lean heavier on the romance and give you the overarching world of the mafia without too much in-depth into it. In this book in particular, it was the lean on the insta-love romance that had carried them through 2.5 years from a one-night stand to getting married.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, if you're a mafia junkie like me, this isn't going to give you that.
This
Right.
wasn't scratching your head.
But, like, do I understand why so many people really liked this book? Absolutely.
Mhm.
But for me, in my world, if you're a mafia hooah, this is not going to scratch your mafia needs.
That's the great point about all this.
Right.
We are 3 different people coming in from 3 different perspectives. That doesn't mean we're all going to align for every book. Some books we all agree, right, are amazing.
Mhm.
And other books maybe will check something for you or check something for Lex or really check something for me. So all we can say to you listeners is go read the book. Does the storyline draw you? Is it something that you might enjoy? Go ahead and read it. And you may align with the other 20,000 people that thought this was a 4-star book.
4.5 stars even.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, well, let's talk about Le Romance. Who the fuck started saying it that way, by the way?
It was
All
me.
Was it you?
Yeah, well, one of us.
What?
I
Somebody.
love how both of you owned it. Fucking nerds. All right, let's talk about the romance. You can choose 1 to 5 roses. Lex, I'm looking at you.
Okay. All right. Okay. You want to shift the soapbox over here?
Oh, we're moving it over.
I was so ready with this book. I loved the way the romance began. You know how I feel about the lightning bolt. I totally believe in insta-love. You see that person across the room and you're like, that one right there, that's mine. I felt that. I was so excited for it. They have the romance the first couple days, 2 years in between, think they can't get over each other. And then they finally get back together. Just killed it for me was she had to completely make herself fit into his world. He manipulated her to get her there. She could have moved on with her life. She could have lived out her own dreams. He got in the way of her actually getting the job in New York that she wanted, selfishly just to make sure that he got a chance to meet her again because he couldn't get over her.
Because one little tiny plot point that we didn't talk about is that she actually did get that job in New York.
Yeah, she did.
And he made it so that she just got a different job in Milan.
He was so selfish to get in the way of that to begin with. He could have fucking gone on a trip to New York and accidentally met up with her then.
Right.
And this is where I go, okay, yeah, and then we wouldn't have a book. But you're asking me, do I find this romantic? Fuck no. Fuck you. I don't care how big your dick is. I'm not changing my life. I'm not giving up my family. If I choose to learn your language, it's because I find it beautiful and it interests me. I'm not doing it to become anybody other than who I am. So it started off really romantic for me and then just nosedive. So I'm giving it a 2.
Wow, I feel like I need to change my score now.
No. You do you.
Wow.
No.
You do you.
You do you.
I was so moved by that powerful speech. God.
Okay.
Well, what do you think, Joey?
The beginning of this book started off amazing. She was getting swept off her feet. It was a beautiful connection and a romance. I think that's what everybody wants. You're off in a foreign country trying to find yourself, and you have this amazing connection with someone. He did manipulate situations for them to run into each other, but I think she knew everything that was happening. But I will tell you, I think Olivia and Enrico did not belong together. And they, more Olivia than Enrico, ruined the romance of the book for me. I'm not sure that Enrico should have been with Olivia. And not because he manipulated the situations. She was bratty to me. She really rubbed me the wrong way. And after giving the information, she didn't do anything with it. She didn't do anything with her option to go to New York. At one point, she talked about it. She decided to be the passive one. She got what she got, but I don't know if I like the two of them together with each other. So with that being said, their connection fell a little short for me. Their sexual chemistry was on point. Their romantic connection wasn't. So it's going for a 3 for me.
My gut also landed me at a 3. And it's funny because after hearing your impassioned speech way up on your lofty soapbox, Lex, I am kind of like, wow, maybe I should give it a 2.5. But my initial gut was a 3 because they were really cute at the beginning. We find out at one point that he's so sentimental, he kept the glass that she drank out of when she first went to his apartment because it had her lipstick on it. It was really sweet. They did love each other. They have some really sweet moments even towards the end. It is a little tainted because of her, I don't know what you even call it. Naivete? I don't know.
I mean, she was hit with a fucking rubber chicken in the face 47 fucking times in this book. When do you go from naive to not wanting to see the writing on the wall?
Yeah.
I think there was just a pivotal point after he told her. She consciously made a decision to play dumb at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That just didn't speak to them being right for each other in my eyes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Lex, I think you summarized this really well in previous episodes. It's the sum of the parts. When you mix it all together, how does it taste? So overall, you can choose 1 to 5 eggplants. What do we think, Joey?
This has been super hard for me because I am a rabid TL Swan fan. I love her writing style, and I don't think I had an issue with the writing style of this book. I think this ultimately came down to the main characters and me just not feeling that they belonged together. And I think that tainted the book for me. I completely understand the asks he had of her. He was clear on what he needed from her. She had the opportunity to say no, but she didn't. This one just didn't check my boxes. So I'm going to go with overall, this book is getting a 3 out of me. Read this author, because I think this author does an amazing job of creating cool, amazing storylines. Check out my Goodreads. Look at all the TL Swan books I read. A couple of really great series in there.
All right, Lex, what do you think? You mixed it all together. How's the gravy taste?
I'm going to preface this also with saying this is my opinion on the book. And one of the wonderful things about why we get together to talk about books is to just share. And we want you to go out there and read it so you can share what your experience is. So just keep in mind, this is just my experience. And I don't have an opinion of if somebody else has a higher rating or likes something better than I do. That's part of what makes the conversation so fucking interesting. So I mixed it all together, put it in my cocktail shaker, poured it, and we're at a 2.75. There was a lot of good components in there, and there's just storylines that I wanted them to go somewhere. Like, how has the family been in power this long? He's our in on that.
Go to book 2.
Oh, okay. So go to book 2.
To be fair, yes,
and that's the thing too, is Joey might have given this a 3, but she's already on book 2 and has spoken about it in a way that I'm like, all right, you know what? I enjoyed the writing of this book, which often I've liked stories, but not writing style. I like writing style here. So I might go give book 2 a chance because maybe that's the part of the story that I'm yearning for. But you didn't ask me about book 2. So book 1, I'm at a 2.75.
Yeah, and I think it's just not the book for me. So for me, I landed at a 2.5. And that's mostly because I got so pumped for the page length.
Yeah.
Hoping to dear God that it was going to give me all my mafia shit that I wanted. And it just gave me a lot of cocks, which, listen, I wasn't sad about that. But it just wasn't the book for me. So would I read book 2 knowing that it's got more mafia shit in it? Maybe, especially knowing the background a little bit of some of the side plot that was brewing towards the end of this story that you do get cliffhangered at the end and you're like, oh, fuck, I really want to know more about that. Well, that's what the second book's for. It definitely leaves you like, oh. So that was fun. Well, folks, I think you've probably all had enough of listening to us on all of our soapboxes for today. Yeah, there's been lots of soapboxes. We're going to buy stock in soap pretty soon. Please make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and now coming to you live from Blue Sky.
Don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to get notified of new episodes that go live.
And if you don't like getting notifications from social media apps, which I personally despise, I would like to feel really special and get a nice email written to me with my name in it and feel all fancy and cute like that. You can go to our website, thelustylibrarypodcast.com, and scroll all the way to the bottom and sign up for our mailing list. We'll send you an email. Cute.
Ooh. And if you love what you're hearing here, do me a favor, shout it out to the world. Yeah, so hop on whatever platform you are listening to us and please rate us and give us a review. Guess what? We actually read them.
Thank you so much for listening all the way to the bittersweet, drunken end.
Ti amo.
Oh, ti amo di più.
Oh, you did so good.
Oh, grazie. All right. Love ya. Bye.
Bye. Bye.